share Psalm 37 before we kneel down and pray together.
感谢神，在大家跪下祷告之前，我想跟大家分享诗篇37篇。
And as we know that prayer is very important in our journey of faith.
大家都知道，在我们的信仰旅途中，祷告是很重要的事情。
Because prayer is a communication between us and God.
因为祷告是我们与神之间的交流。
Just like any relationship, the more we converse, the more the relationship, become more wonderful.
就像我们在任何一段关系当中，我们花的时间越多，那这段关系就会越好。
Just like between wife and husband.
比如说，在丈夫与妻子之
It's
间，
important that wife and husband should communicate as often as they can.
丈夫与妻子要尽他们所能，要常常沟通。
And the same thing between parents and children.
一样的，对于父母和孩子来说，
And the same thing between children and children.
还有孩子与孩子之间，
And also even between, church brothers and sisters, also important we must communicate.
还有在教会的弟兄姐妹当中。
And, just like if we live in a home with a family, we spend maybe 3-4 hours communicating each day.
就像我们住在一个家庭里面，我们每天花3到4个小时沟通。
So the question is, how often do you and I communicate with our Lord Jesus Christ?
那问题是我们用多少的时间跟神沟通？
Because we know the more we communicate, the more our relationship will become sweeter.
因为我们知道，我们花的时间越多，那我们与神之间的关系就会越甜美。
But quite often, the reason why we don't pray as often as we should,
那常常的情况就是我们没有花那么多时间祷告，
because it seems like every time we kneel down and pray or converse with our Lord Jesus Christ, and we don't hear His voice conversing back.
那我们在跪下来祷告的时间，常常就是听不到他的回应。
But here we want to share, this is a psalm of King David,
那这个是大卫的诗篇，
and talk about the heritage of those who are righteous and the calamity, of the wicked that comes upon mankind.
那这边讲的就是义人所得到的，他们所应该。
Yeah, let's verse 1, chapter 37, verse 1.
我们看一下第1节。
Do not fret because of evildoers, nor be envious of the workers of iniquity.
第1节，不要为作恶的心怀不平，也不要向那行不义的生出嫉妒。
So here it's interesting, right? Because the Psalm of King David, he said, look, do not fret because of evildoers.
那这边很有趣的是，大卫王说，不要为作恶的心怀不平，
And also do not be envious of the workers of iniquity.
也不要向那行不义的生出嫉妒。
Well, and sometimes when we, in society, we see people do evil things.
那有时候我们在这些社会当中看到别人做一些不好的事情，
And sometimes we become very afraid of them,
我们就会很害怕他们。
right? Because, we should be afraid of evildoers.
我们应该对这些作恶的害怕，
But actually, God tells us we should not be afraid.
但神告诉我们，我们不应该害怕，
Why? Because evildoers, God will take care of them.
因为像这些作恶的神会管
Of
教
course,
他
this
们。
also teaches a lot of things, right? If someone do evil things, you and I should not take, do not try to revenge with our own hands.
那也教导我们说，就算我们看到这些作恶的人，我们也不应该用我们自己的能力
Which
去
is very
去他
difficult to do.
这也是很难去做
Right?
的。
That's why we need to pray for God to give us this kind of wisdom.
所以我们要祷告神给我们这种智慧。
Right? When a person do evil toward us,
当有人对我们做了恶的事，
what should we do?
我们应该怎么做？
Well, of course, we should try our best to keep everything calm.
当然，我们要尽我们所能，平静下来。
For example, right? And we know as ICE, they go raiding everybody.
比如说，现在有 ICE 他们去到处抓人，
And of course, they do a lot of illegal search, for example.
比如说他们有做很多不合法的搜
So,
索。
for example, of course, we shouldn't be afraid of them.
当然，我们不应该害怕他们，
But at the same time, we must use wisdom to be able to interact with them as well.
当然我们要有智慧跟他们来互动。
Now, for example, if you and I are driving,
比如说我们在开车的时候，
if ICE stop us,
如果 ICE 把我们拦下来
what，should we do?
我们应该怎么做？
My sister Dandan, what would you do if ICE stop you on the road and they ask you for your ID? Yeah. 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 That's what you hope for, right? Just kidding. Go ahead.
就给他们所有需要的证件，然后因为我没有做任何违法的事情，
But it's illegal for them to do that, right? If you didn't break any law, they ask you for your ID, right? Why would you give them your ID?
但他们这么做是不合法的，他们为什么要跟你拿 ID 呢？
No. This has happened. That's what people think about, right? That's what people say, right? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. 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 Why? Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
我也不会跟他们争吵，就是他们需要什么，我就会给他们什么。
Yes. So, Brother Bohan, what would you do?
我会先问他，你有什么？你是根据什么样的原因需要看我的 ID？因为不可以在路上看到一个说，哦，我觉得好像有什么可疑的，那你要有证据，你证据合理，我就拿出来。You need to justify how come you can stop it. Do I do anything that you suspect? You have something, or just because I'm not looking like a
You're brown color. You're brown color.
that's racist, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
It makes sense. I would have to.
Okay. So what if they say, just give me ID, right? Just give me ID.
And I said, just let me go.
Because they want your ID, right?
I won't go.
Yeah. But you,
I mean, it
okay.
makes sense, right? You have the request, I have my request.
Yeah. But they're in authority, right? They have guns, right? And they are pretty much, they're federal agents, right?
如果他们有枪怎么办？他们是这个政府的官员。
Do you want to sit there and argue with them?
这个好问题，我也不知道我会要打样。我确实是我也不可能会我也不知道，可能会拍照吧，或者录影，yeah, like I call the police or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, of course, as Christian, we need to use wisdom to do things, right?
作为基督徒，我们要有智慧去这么做。
Like for me, I would do exactly like what you're doing, right? Because I mean, I'm a citizen. I didn't do anything wrong, right? So why, for me, they want my ID, fine. I don't even ask them any questions. You want it? Here you go. Take it, right? See it, look at it, right?
那如果对我来说，如果他们问我拿 ID，我就会给他们看。
So of course, even the law, right? The law in the United States that they must have a valid reason to stop you not asking for ID.
那即使是在美国，他们也需要有合法的这种说明来跟你拿 ID。
But God also tells us do not resist an evil person. It's very important, right? Do not resist an evil person.
圣经也告诉我们不要跟这种作恶的人作对。
And that's why Jesus said, look, if the Roman soldier asks you to walk 2 miles, go, walk, because if not, they're going to put you in jail and imprison you, right?
所以说，如果人家让你就是当时罗马人叫你们去走什么2英里，那你就去走，不然他们就会把你下到牢里。
And if the soldier slap you in the right cheek, you also take this one too, right? Yes.
如果别人打了你的右脸，那你就把左脸伸。
So it's important, right? Yes, even though, yes, United States have the law that, the federal agents should not break it, right? They should not break. But we also need to use wisdom, right? As well. So, okay, you want to see, we have not done anything wrong, right? We have not done anything wrong. So you want to see my ID, it's fine. They just see your ID and they let you go, right?
那如果因为你也没有犯什么错，如果人家跟你要 ID，那你就给人家看。
And then what happened if you try to resist them?
那如果你跟他们作对会怎么样？
Of course, right? Yeah, you never know. You don't know what's going to happen, especially nowadays. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it happens. And it happens.
那如果你跟他们作对，你不知道会发生什么。
So that's why for us, God's teaching is to exceed the law of this country. Really. We have to understand that. Like God's teaching has to supersede, right? We do things according to God's teaching, not things to the law.
那我们做的事情是要遵守神的律法，而不是这个世界的。
But of course, the law, right? The law has to also go according to God's teaching as well, right? For example, they want us to worship idols. We're not going to do it, right? We're not going to do it.
那我们也要遵守神的律法，比如说不要拜偶像。
Okay, for example, I was going from Dallas to Georgia. Me and my brother-in-law. Me and my brother-in-law was driving.
那比如说我从达拉斯开到乔治亚去，
And for some reason, I rented a car. I didn't want to drive my truck. I rented a car. And this car is like the Nissan Sentra, and it's like tinted window. It looks like a gangster's car. You know, like, yeah, the car just doesn't look, yeah, it doesn't look normal.
然后我就租了一辆尼桑的车，这辆车看起来很像帮派的车。
So during that time, I had you know, I have a business to do, right? I had to do business.
那时候我要做一些生意，
I had to go get something from Ha's aunt. Go get something from Ha's aunt.
我要去拿一些东西给他的阿姨。
So we drove from Dallas all the way to Georgia.
所以我们从达拉斯一路开到乔治亚，
Then we really didn't sleep. We just slept for a couple hours, then we drove back.
我们就睡了几个小时就开回来。
So on our way back, we got stopped by a state trooper, right? Those are marshal, no, the whatever you call them. I don't think the state trooper in that kind of town. Evelyn, remember what town that was here? Yeah, one of those places that are not so good to immigrants, you know, right? Yeah, it's not a good place. I forgot it, but it's not a good place. It's not a good place.
我们就在回来的途中被一个对移民人不是很友好的地方拦下来
Of。course, usually yeah, I think maybe Alabama, right? It's just not a good place to be, right? Yeah.
反正就是不是一个很友好的地方。
I'm usually the one that's driving. I drive,
我
right?
开车，
By that time, I have very bad diarrhea.
但那时候我就一直
So
吐血
I couldn't drive, so I asked my brother-in-law to drive.
所以我就叫我的
My brother-in-law, he's younger than me.
我的妹
he's
夫
younger than me.
开车，
Yeah. So when he drive, like, hey, you going to the speed limit, it's no good. But you drive a speed limit, they go, everybody pass by you, right? It seemed like when the cops look at you, like, hey, you're doing something illegal. That's why you drive. You know the concept, right? If you drive normal, everybody's going to pass by you. I mean, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. This is the cop's mind. The mentality is like this. Yes. Yes.
就是如果你按照这个限速开，然后每个人都从你身边开过去，就说明你做了不对的事情。
For example, you drive home, right? You go speed limit exactly when you drive home? No. That's normal. Everybody go over the speed limit like 10 miles, right? 15 miles. That's normal. But when you go on the speed limit, the cop are right away like, oh, he's doing something wrong. Yes. Because you don't want to get pulled over by the cop, right?
因为正常来说，我们都会开的比限速快10到15迈。但如果你按着限速开的话，那警察就会觉得你做的。
So the minute I say that, and then like, oh man, the cops pull us over.
然后我们就被警察拦了。
And then I wasn't driving. I was on a passenger seat.
我在副驾上，
And he comes to my side, asks me for my driver's license.
他到我这边来问我要我的 ID。
Is the law say I should not, I shouldn't give him my license because I'm not the driver, right?
按照法律来说，我又不是开车的，我就不用给他我的驾照。
But when I see 3 police officers stopping me on the highway, I don't want any trouble. Any trouble, right?
但我看到3个警察把我们拦在高速公路上面，我不想
I'm not going to say, no, you cannot have my license. I'm not the driver. I can argue all these things. For what? For what?
那如果我跟他们去争吵的话，也是没有意义的。
But someday I will testify the complete story, right? It's really God's grace, right?
那我之后会跟大家见证这整个的故事。
So I give my ID.
我就给他我的 ID。
Of course, then my brother-in-law, he's all scared and everything, right? Because, yeah.
我的妹夫他也很害怕。
Normally, I should be very scared too, but I wasn't. I was like you said, I didn't do anything wrong. I did not do anything wrong.
正常来说我也是害怕，但是那天我没有害怕。
So they did not throw me into the cruiser. They threw my brother-in-law to the cruiser because he was so scared. They want to intimidate him, right? And ask him all these questions, right? You know what I'm saying, right? So they put him in the cruiser there, and I'm sitting in the car waiting.
然后他就把我的妹夫带到了警车后面去问他问题，因为他看起来很害怕。
But what I'm saying, the other time, I was 100% sure I'm going to give him my driver's license, even though I have the right to say no. But for what? To know, what do I gain? What do I gain? Oh, he broke my right. That's what I will gain. For what? Right?
但那个时候我知道我是一定要给他看我的 ID 了，
Because I know when they pull me, I know they're looking for something, right? They look for something as an excuse. Right? Actually, yeah, it's a long story, but I will share you one day. I will share the whole story. But the main point is, I give my driver's license. I just gave it.
那重点就是我有给他我的 ID。
We were there for 2 hours,
我们停在那边停了2个小
okay,
时，
interrogating us, this and that. They get the drug dogs came out and everything.
然后他就
Right.
把我们就审讯了一下，什么警犬啊都出来了。
But just like you say, sister, actually, my conscience was clear. I did not do anything wrong. Right? I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm fine. Here's my ID.
那我知道我什么做都没有，所以我就给他我的 ID。
And thank God, after 2 hours later, they were so disappointed they couldn't arrest us.
所以当然
You know.
2个小时
They
之
were
后
so disappointed.
他们非常失望，不能。
But I know for sure it was really God's grace. Like I said, one day I will share the whole story.
但我知道这真的是神的恩典，
And we left.
然后我们就离开了。
And really, and if I resist, I would be in jail by that time. Yeah.
如果我跟他们作对的话，我可能就会在监狱里。
So that's why God's wisdom super, surpass like whatever the rights we have here. Because there's some people, they don't like brown colored people. They don't like yellow people, right? And you can use wisdom, right? You can use wisdom.
就他们有些人他们不喜欢有色人种，所以我们真的要用我们的智慧。
They tell you the story that in South Africa,
在南非的时候，
so a pastor, he's a TJC pastor in our church.
那有一个教会的传道，
So of course he invited his wife to go with him during that time.
那时候他邀请他的妻子跟他一起去。
And in South Africa, actually, there's a really rich member. He's really, really rich.
南非有一个非常有钱的信徒，
So when you go to his compound, when you go to the area, you eat wonderful food. You stay like in a 5-star hotel. His house like a 5-star hotel. It's really nice.
他房子也很漂亮，你去那边可以吃很好的食物。
Of course, the pastor wanted to invite his wife to go there as well, right?
然后所以这个传道也想邀请他的妻子一起
So
去。
the brother who owned the compound, owned the place, he was on a business trip somewhere.
那这个弟兄他当时去旅游了，
And somehow the people knew that he's on a business trip and there's some white folks living in his house, which is, he's Asian, but everybody's not black, they're white, right? So this white couple live in his house.
那当时呢，那就有人知道是他们去旅游了，然后当时就是只有一个白人的夫妇住在他们的家里，
So in the evening, they broke into the house.
然后有一个晚上他们
They tied his wife. You guys ever heard the story before? Yeah, he testified before. Yeah, you did, right? Yeah. So he tied up his wife and tied him up as well.
然后他们这个传道夫妇就被绑架，
There's like 7 to 9 of them. 7 to 9 of them.
大概
Yeah, 7 to 9 robbers.
大概有
对
7到9个这个绑匪。
You have to understand, like in Africa, if you see their faces, they will unalive you, right? That's it. They leave. They don't. Yeah. There's no witnesses, right? That usually that's what happened. Yeah. So usually, yeah.
没有目击者，
Yeah.
他们是这样。
Yeah. Okay. So they took his wife. They want to defile her. Okay.
那他们就带走他的这个妻子，他们就想要对他做一些。
And the pastor, he just there praying. He just pray and pray and pray, right?
然后这个传道他就是在祷告，
And then he hear one of the guys say to the leader, "Let's unalive both of them," right?
然后听到那个绑匪里面的头说，我们就把他们
Of
放。
course, this time there's 2-3 guys with his wife. They didn't do nothing yet, right? With the pastor's wife.
有2-3个绑匪，他们
And he just kept praying, right?
想要做什么，但还没开始做的时候，这个传道就
And then the leader
在
said,
祷
"Oh,
告
forget it, right? Just leave." They just left.
然后那个绑匪的头就说，
And if you go to Africa, you realize this is God's grace, God's mercy. There's no way they will leave you like that. They don't do that kind
然
of
后你
stuff.
就知道 道如果在非洲，这一定是神的恩典，因为没有
And afterward,
这里发生。
his wife was so upset with him.
然后之后，他这个妻子就对他很失望。
They were going to do something awful to me. Why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you get up and fight and stuff like that, right?
这妻子就说：“我都要被做些什么，你怎么还都不跟他们打架什么的？”
Okay, you get one little Chinese guy fighting against 7, 9 robbers. Okay, what are you going to do?
那可以想象，如果一个比较矮小的中国男子，然后去打7到9个绑匪，
But he chose the best. It's not Wang Fei Hong, he's not Wang Fei Hong, the pastor, You know what I'm saying? He's not, he's just, right? He's just a normal guy, okay?
这个传道只是一个
Okay.
普通人，他并不是。
What happened if we try to get up and fight and stuff like that, right? Hey, we all both would be unalive, really, right?
他没有办法，就是要去打那么多个绑匪。
But he chose the best thing. He prayed. He prayed, right?
他选择最好的方法就是
Then
祷
they
告
just left.
然后那些绑匪就
So that's why if he resists in a time, there's no way, right? Because I talked to him, because we're good friends, right? I talked to him, yeah. If he got up and tried to do something, they both would have been gone. They both been gone.
如果你一直跟他们讲话还是什么，他们不会离开的。
So that's why, of course, we do not afraid of evildoers, but we also need to use wisdom, right, to do things as well.
当然，我们不会害怕作恶的人，但是我们要有智慧。
No, when it comes to my rights pertaining to this country, I don't care. But my rights in the eyes of God, that's way more, right? For me, I do what is right in the eyes of the Lord, not in of course, the law changes quite often as well, right?
那当然，这个法律是一直在变的，但是我们要做在神眼中对的事情。
So that's why for us, you have to think, all of us are immigrants, right? I mean, some of you born here, some of you born here, right? But even then, you're yellow, right? They can see you're not American, you're an Asian American, right?
那虽然我们都可能是从小在这边或者是移民来的，但我们还是有色的人。
You ever met a white American? No, they're just American, right? They're just American. They're not white American, right? But there's an Asian American, there's a black, American, right? But even though they've been here for centuries, right? This is the world. This is the reality, right?
如果别人说美国人，他们不会在前面加一些什么黑白什么黄之类的。
So when we do things like that, not because we're afraid of evildoers, no, we use wisdom, right, to do things that to save our lives. That's what's important.
所以我们在面对恶人的时候，还是有恶的事情的时候，我们需要用智慧。
Of course, there's a lot of brothers ask me, hey, do you have a gun? Do you have a gun in your house, right?
但是很多弟兄问我，你家里有没有枪？
But in Texas, right, we have brothers who have gun stuff in their house, right?
在德州有弟兄家里会有枪，
And even some deacons, right, in our church, they have guns in their house as well,
甚至
right?
是执事。
So the main thing is that, okay, would you have guns in your house? Is also another question as well.
那另外一个问题就是你家里面有没有
Is
枪？
your right to defend yourself, right? When someone come and invasion your house, stuff like that,
那如果有人就非法进入你们家的话，那你有这个就是开枪的权利吗？
right? So, Brother Jason, would you have a house? I mean, you have a gun in your house? No, right? Yeah. Because what happened, you also need to be wise, right? If someone come into your house, you have a gun, they also have a gun, and I'm sure you're not as good as they are shooting guns, okay? Right? Because we just have guns to be there. I mean, how often you go to shoot guns? Maybe those people, they practice all the time, right? Yeah, think about that kind of stuff.
那就算你家里有枪，那进入你家的人，他们也有枪，他们或者甚至每天都在练习，他们枪法比你好。
Yes, brother.
我记得好像有一个报告是说，有枪，其实你死掉的，就是你死亡的几率会更高，所以你最好是没有枪会比较容易，因为你有枪，他会觉得你有威胁，他会跟你那个 shoot， 所以是有这个统计的结果，所以最好是不要有枪。So it's like there's a statistics showing that if you have a gun, like most likely, like if you show them, like they also have guns, so they think that
Yeah,
you are intimidating,
Yeah.
so they will shoot each other.
Yeah.
So you are
Yeah.
likely to die.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
better to not have a gun.
I mean, that is wisdom as well, right?
那也是一种智慧。
For example, my adopted mother asked me, "Oh, can you help me to get a permit get a gun?" She's 80 years old. Okay,
比如说我的养母说， 他已经80岁了，他问我可不可以帮我去弄一个持枪的许可证。
I say, no, I'm not going to do that.
我说我不会这么做的。
Okay, the robber comes, he has no gun. All of a sudden, you have a gun, he can take a gun from you. You're 80 years old. And you hardly can see. What are you going to shoot at? You know, right?
那就算到你家来抢劫的那些人，他们没有枪，那你80岁你又看不见，你只能把枪给他们。
And some people think, oh, you have a gun, you can take it out and shoot people. No, it takes a lot, right, to shoot someone. Don't just, we watch so much TV and stuff like that, right? That's the problem, you know?
其实那个开枪不是一件很容易的事情，你要做很多东西，不是像电视上面那样那么简单。
Okay, there's one brother, this is a real story. It just happened a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, right? A real brother.
那有一个真实的故事，就是一个弟兄是发生
He
在
has,
2年
he
前，
has a gun permit,
他有一个持枪
and he carries gun all the time. He carries guns all the time.
他一直带着他的枪。
So one day he was driving,
有一天他在开车，
and this guy, you know, this guy hit him, right? Hit him by, I don't know, by accident or, but hit his car while he's driving.
那有一个人撞了他的车，
And his brother just feels so brave. He falls out to follow that guy. He follow him
然后这个弟兄他就当时就很勇敢，他就跟着那个人，
and block him.
就拦住他，
Of course, they both came out,
他们都下了车。
and the guy had a gun.
那个人有枪，
But this brother just happened that day he has no gun.
那这个弟兄就在那天没有枪。
And thank God.
感谢神。
What happened if he pulled out his gun?
如果你拿出枪，
And that guy, he's a criminal. He's like, he was wanted. After all, to do research, that guy, right? He's a criminal.
那个
Okay.
那个人他是个罪犯，
So the brother said, oh, thank God I didn't have my gun that time because, yeah, the guy would have kill him. Would have killed him.
所以那弟兄就想感谢神，我那天没有带枪。
Because he always cared. So that time when the guy came, he's like, and then he didn't realize, he realized he has no gun. Thank God. He just stood there and froze. You know, like that, right? Yeah. Yeah. So he stood there and froze. So he couldn't move.
他就站住了，他不能动。
Imagine trying to go for his gun. Okay. How often, maybe the first time in his life, trying to go for his gun. You're not going to be faster than a guy who's a career criminal. Okay. No way.
想象一下，如果他那天带了枪，那是面对一个罪犯，谁会先把这个枪拿出来？
And he didn't realize how, you know, the situation could have gone bad until the police, you know, described the guy and they're like, oh man, this guy is like wanted, you know, like the top 10 wanted guy, whatever, right? In that area, right?
那所
Yeah.
以那时候他就打电话给警察，描述了一下这个人，然后警察就说：“哦，这个人是一个罪犯。
Yes, we are not afraid of evildoers, but we must use wisdom to deal with them. Deal with them. ”
所以我们不会惧怕这些恶的东西，但是我
I
们要
remember
有
one
智
time,
慧
even before I come to know Jesus Christ,
其实我在来信主之前，
I used to go dancing a lot, right? Club dancing.
我常常去聚会，
And during the time,
俱乐部。
so that's how I met my wife too, right? Dancing club, yeah. So there's one time I have this girlfriend, right? Girlfriend. Right? This is before Christ, okay? I have this girlfriend.
那这是在信主之前，我那时候有个女朋友，
And somehow all the gangster girlfriend, I used to go to Club Europa, which is like downtown China. A lot of Chinese gangster goes there
那
back
当
then,
时
yeah.
那个时候在中国城那边有很多的帮派，中国的
And
帮派。
I know never even to say hi to the gangster's girlfriend. I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't say hi to girls, period. I mind my own business.
我从来不对他那些帮派的那些女朋友打招呼。
But during that time, I had a girl, and and somehow the gangster girlfriend are jealous of her, right? Somehow, yeah.
但那时候那些帮派的女朋友有点嫉妒我当时的女朋友，
So I was dancing on a speaker, right? Club speakers, they are big. So I was dancing, and the girl I was dating also dancing,
所
right?
以我们当时就在那个俱乐部里面跳舞。
And all of a sudden, those gangsters' girlfriend grabbed my girlfriend by the hair and pull her down and start beating her up. Yeah.
但那个帮派的女朋友就突然冲过来抓住
And-
我当时女朋友的头发，这样子把她
And I know all the gangsters like, oh, I'm not gonna be involved. This girl fight, I'm not gonna be involved.
当时我就说，我不会参与这个，这是女生之间的打架。
Because I know those guys are ruthless. I always tell my friend, I have a good friend, he's Taiwanese. I tell him, hey, don't talk to any of those gangsters' girlfriend, okay? Just stay away from them, okay?
当时我有一个很好的台湾的朋友，我总是跟他们讲，不要跟帮派的女朋友们
But of
讲话
course, one night he didn't listen, and he was talking to one of the gangsters' girlfriend, and they chased him and I don't know where he went with guns and stuff, right? He's still alive. He's still alive. But, he was a fast runner, But whatever it is, you have to use wisdom, right? I know I feel bad she's getting beat up, but she's not going to be killed. If I would have been involved, I would have been killed. I had to choose that, right? She's not my wife. She's just a girl I dated, you know? No, really, right? I'm sorry, right? But she's fine afterwards. She didn't talk to me for a couple of days, but that's fine, Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So whatever it is, so of course so you need to use wisdom. Of course, you shouldn't be in a kind of situation in the first place, right? Right.
那首先你不应该让自己处于那种境地当中。
And the next one, of course, we're not afraid of evil doers, but we have to use wisdom to deal with them as well, right? Deal with them.
当然我们不会害怕这些恶的东西，但是我们要有智慧去处理。
And say, nor be envious of the workers of iniquity.
嗯，
The second part of verse 1, right?
第一节的后半段也不要向那行不义的生出嫉妒。
And I'm sure all of us know someone who do unlawful things, right? They do bad things, but they make so much money.
我们都
Right?
会
I think
知道
also
一些
know.
人，他们做一些不合法的事情，但是他们赚
And
很
you
多
feel like,
钱。
man, this guy, right? He's doing all these bad things, that, but every year he makes so much money, right? Deceiving people, this and that, right?
比如说有些人他们靠欺骗、诈骗，然后就每年可以赚很多钱。
And sometimes we think about that, we also think, oh, maybe I can also do something, right? Do illegal things, right?
有时候我们可能会想啊，可能我们也可以做一些这些不合法的事
For
情。
example, like maybe as restaurant owners, maybe you don't want to pay taxes, right? If we collect cash, right? Right? Because why would you want to pay tax?
比如说你不想要付这个税呢，你就想要收现金。
But you have to understand, right? All the career criminals, all the mafia and stuff like that, most of them, they get caught because they don't pay their taxes, right? The government will get to you, right? The government will get to you.
那其实政府们都知道你没有付税。
Of course, we're not saying that, like, but the thing is, there's a lot of restaurant owners who are not Christian, they don't pay tax. They don't pay tax.
那其实有很多餐馆的他们那些他们的老板他们都不付这个税。
But of course, for us, we should not, we should not try to get away with this kind of stuff, right? Whatever it is we do, we are lawfully obey, right?
像那我们肯定不要这么做，因为我们就是在这个世界上面，他们要我们怎么做，我们
And
是要
one
去
time,
顺服。
I was really disappointed with this brother. This brother, he's a business person,
那我对这个弟兄感到很失望。这个
and
弟
he
兄是个
rent
商
a
人，
spot. He rent a spot to do his business,
他租了一个地点来做他的生意，
and then the business was not doing well.
这个生意做的不是很好。
But he still have not 8 months of contract to go to lease the place, right?
但他还是有钱可以租下这个地方。
Then he just left. He just left the whole business, and the landlord cannot find him anything like that, right?
然后他就跑掉了，所以这些这个地的这个老板就找不到他。
And he was very proud on doing that. It's like I saying that's not right, because you sign a contract with your landlord, right? At least talk to him, make a deal, right? My business not doing well. Can we do some kind of deal? You cannot just leave him like that. That's not being a Christian like, right? It's not right to do things like
那
that.
他最起码他可以就是他不要跑掉，他可以跟这个土地的这个房东就是协商好。
And the reason is safe because other people does the same thing, right? The business not good, they just leave. And quite often the business they just put on their, because a lot of time we have an Asian name and an English name, right? So sometimes we just put in the English name, but then when you try to search, you cannot find you anywhere, right? Things like that.
如果每个人都这么做的话，人家签名的时候，你可能会签什么中文名、英文名，那人家想要找你的话就找不到。
So what we're saying, actually, we do what's more right in the eyes of the Lord than just doing things, trying to gain some wealth or gain this or gain that, right?
所以当我们要首先要做在神眼中对的事情，然后再去赚别的，
Because God sees and knows everything.
因为神知道任何事情。
So that's why if we're envious of those who do iniquity, sooner or later we have the kind of mindset as well. Hey, they can get away with it, I also can get away with it as well.
那如果我们如果向这些行不义的人生出嫉妒的话，那我们也会觉得我们也可以像他们这么做。
That's why I'm trying to teach my son. My son, he said, okay, you want to play Uno, right? And I say, okay, 5 more games. 5 more games, that is it, right?
比如说我跟我的儿子玩 Uno， 然后我就会跟他说再玩5轮，
And I say to him, you agree?
就问他你同不同意
He？said yes.
他说，
Then after 5 games, Papa, 2 more, right?
比如说5轮 5轮游戏结束之后，他就会说再来2轮。
I say, Nathan, we already agreed 5 games.
那我
Right?
说我们已经都商量好了，就是
These are 100 games where we have been playing. Okay?
这就是一整个游戏
He
了。
say, no, no, 2 more, 2 more.
他就说不要
I
再
say,
2轮
Nathan, okay, 2 more. Okay, I agree, 2 more. 2
然后
more
我就
games.
同意
Right?
说那再来2
Then
轮。
after 2 more games, is what?
2
Yeah.
轮之后，
Papa, 2 more, 2 more.
他就会继续说
I
再来
say,
2轮。
Nathan, first you have to, you have to honor your words, right? You already say to Papa 2 more, and Papa tell you, okay, 2 more. Now you want 2 more, and 2 more, and 2 more. Like, you can't do that, right? You can't do
我就
that.
跟他说，你要信守你自己的承诺，你说几轮就是几轮。
So that's why for us, we really need, to, what would Christ would do, right? That's always the same. What would Christ do, right? In every situation.
那我们就常常问自己说，那主在这种情况当中会怎么做呢？
You see, our Lord Jesus Christ, he did not lead the people to revolt against the Roman Empire because they are evil people during the time. They do many bad things. They even crucify him on the cross, right?
那当时主耶稣并没有带领别人去这个对抗这个罗马帝国，因为他们那时候是很坏的一群人。
So, for example, when say, should we pay tax, right? That's ask Jesus, should we pay tax?
比如说我们要不要付税呢
He？say, what inscription is this, right? He say to his disciple, whose inscription on the coin?
钱上面的人像是谁？
Yeah, and he says Caesar's, right?
是
Yeah,
该撒。
yeah. And then Jesus said, give what belongs to Caesar to see what belongs to God, what is God. Right? So, Sister Miranda, exactly what's that teaching, sister? When Jesus say that?
Give what is right unto the person.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Sorry，
You're still thinking about the last.
What is rightful to the person who deserves the
就是该给谁就给谁。
Yeah. And that's what we do. And then oh, why would you want to do that? Right? They control us, right? Why would one give tax to the No. You give that's nothing, right? That is nothing but give to God what is God. That is way more important.
那更重要的是要该给神的就给神，
So we pay taxes, of course we try not to avoid taxes, right?
我们还是要付税。
Of course we try our best to do somehow, some way to not to pay taxes, right? The legal way, not illegal way.
但我们用合法的方式去少付一些税。
So when I moved here, I did a 1031 exchange, right? You guys know what 1031 exchange is, right? Like when you buy a business property, you also, you have to, if you don't do a 1031 exchange, you have to pay tax, the capital gain on it, right? The capital gain. So when you buy a business and then you sell the business, then you buy another business, like something considered business. You have to pay, if you don't do that, then you pay the money that you make from it, right?
就比如说你买了一个你买了一个地，然后你把这个地卖了，然后你再去买另外一个地的话，然后你就可以少付点税。
Yeah. It's heavy tax, like 25%, 30%, right? It's heavy. So $1 million gain, you pay like 200,000, at least 200,000, right? 250,000 on it, right? It's heavy. It's a lot.
反正就是很多的钱。
So, but of course, you have to do the legal way to do things. You cannot just, break the law and stuff like that because God knows. Because this is the country we live in, we must follow the rules. That's what's important, right?
因为我们在这个国家居住，所以我们要遵守他们的法律，我们要找合法的方式去避免这些税。
I tell you one time, there's this pastor, right? He drive very fast,
那比如说有一次有一个传
and
道
he get
人
many speeding tickets all the time.
是他一直有吃到很多罚单
And。there's one time he got pulled over by a woman police officer,
那他有一次被一个女警拦下，
and she really did not want to give him a ticket.
他真的不想再拿一个罚单，
She's like, do you have a place to go? That's why you drive very fast.
然后就跟他说：“你知道我要去哪了吗？所以我要开这么快。
And he said he couldn't lie. He has no place to go. He's just driving, he has no place to go. ”
他没有办法撒谎，
So even though she asked him many times, do you have a place to go? He couldn't answer because he didn't want to lie. Because he did not have any place to go that he in a hurry to go. But he just drive fast.
那这个女警一直问他说：“你是不是要有什么地方去，
So
你才开这么快？”
he
但他
got a
没有办法
ticket.
撒谎 那最后还是拿了一个。
Of course, for him, it's like, yeah, so for him, his driver's license can be suspended.
那
you
他
know?
的他的驾照已经被注销。
But he knew that lying to God is even worse than getting the ticket, right?
但他知道比起拿罚单，向神说谎才是更不好的。
Because, of course, thank God that, of course, as a minister, you relocate all the time, so you get different state all the time, so his license is still okay,
作为一个传道人，就是他在不同的州当中开车，所以他的驾照还是可以用。
But the church had to sell him the car for $1, so he have his own insurance, because insurance is so much money, because he had very bad driving record,
因为他一直有被这个拦下来，所以他的保险非常贵，但是还好那个教会会为他准备。
But when he told me the speeding ticket situation, I think that's the right thing to do, right? It's the right thing to do. You can lie. Oh, I have church service, need to go, right? Because he asked, yeah, he didn't have nothing to say.
但是他就是不想撒谎，就是撒谎他也可以说我要赶着去。
And he said every time he get pulled over, he never tell the police officer he's a pastor. Never, right?
他每次被拦的时候，他
Why, sister? Why he
都
doesn't
会
say
告
tell
诉
him?
警察他是一个传道。
Yeah. Use God's name in a bad situation, right? You're breaking the law. And so I'm a Christian, I'm a pastor, right? Of course, that's not good.
他就是不想就是把神放在这种不好的情况当中。
But there is one time when I was when I was in Houston, driving to a baptismal site. When I was in Houston, I was driving to a baptismal site.
那有一次我在休斯顿的时候，我要开车去这个洗礼场。
And that year, I just happened to go to a new location. Right? We tried new location because in Houston, you understand, every body of waters have alligators and snakes in there. So you go to the beach, you have to drive like over an hour, right, to get there.
所以我们那时候在看一些新的地方，因为那边的很多地方都有一些鳄鱼或者蛇。
So one year, I said, okay, let's decide go to a new area, right? New area at the beach, but different area.
就有一年我们就会就说要去一个新的地点，
So I was following the people, and they went too fast. I lost them, so I was trying to speed up to catch up to them.
那我那时候是跟着别人的车，那他们开太快了，我就
And-
跟丢了，
And I got pulled over.
然后我就很快追上面。然后
So they
就
asked,
被
and he was a very nice guy. He's saying, "Oh, why are you such in a hurry?"
然后那个警察就问我说：“你为
And
什
I
么
told him the truth. I said, "I'm a pastor, right?
我就告诉他们，
And I'm baptizing people this morning. I want to be late, but I don't know where I'm going, right?"
我就告诉他们事实，我今天早上要洗礼，我是一个传道，但我不想迟到。
But thank God, he's like, "Okay, no problem." They didn't give me a ticket. They didn't give me a ticket, But yeah, I never, yeah. So now when I told him I was a pastor, that's what I was doing. I'm going to baptize people. I don't want to be late, and that's the truth, right? That's the truth.
那我当时就是告诉他们事实。
Yeah. So in other words, for us, we should not be envious of anyone who practice iniquity, right? Even they gain so much from it. It's true, right? They gain so much from it, but it's not worth it when it comes to breaking God's teaching, right? That's what we need to keep.
所以我们不要向行不义的生出嫉妒，即使他们有很多，但是我们不要去打破神的律法。
Of course, if there's a way around it, legally around it, then you can do your best, right? That's why you hire a financial officer, right? And also hire a tax guy, right, to do things, right? That is legally, right?
所以我们可以用合法的行为去做一些事情，比如说去找一些报税人啊，还是什么。
And that's why the next one says, trust in the Lord and do good, right? And 3, right? Trust in the Lord and do good.
那第3节当中，你当倚靠耶和华而行善，
This is more important than anything else.
这是最重要的。
That's why I try to teach my son. I say, son, look, when you lie, when you're not doing this and that, then, you're lying to God. And that is a very big deal, right? That's a big deal. Don't do the kind of thing.
所以我常常跟我儿子说，你不要向神撒谎，这是最坏的事情。
And the same thing for us too as Christians.
那对于我们基督徒来说也是
Why
一
we
样的。
trust in the Lord in everything, right? In everything.
如果我们在事实上都倚靠神，
Even though other people, they do iniquity, they evildoers, they prosper, right? And different things. They make a lot of money and they do this, they do that. But then for us, it's not our way, right? It's not our way.
就像说，比如有很多人他们作恶或者说行不义的事情，但是这不是我们应该做的。
Then, and that's why sometimes our church thinking, look, other churches bring so many people into the church, right? They have bingo night, right? Casino night. We should do that kind of stuff too, right?
那比如说有些教会他们会带很多人来教会，是因为他们会做一些什么赌博啊什么事情，但是对我们来说，我们不应该这么做，
But of course, that's not the right thing to do.
这不
Right?
是
Not the
正
right
确的
thing
事
to do.
情做的。
And also, same thing when we hire people to do like plumbing work, electrical work, we have to understand, right? You have to hire someone who's professional, right? We have to do that as well because something goes wrong, especially electrical and stuff like that. Then it's no God's name cannot be glorified.
那比如说我们要去招人来做一些事情的时候，我们要招一些专业的人来做。
For example, I think I shared this some of you before, and one church buy all the speakers and stuff like that off a guy's trunk. The guy come with a car, and they have all speakers and stuff like that, and you buy for a good price, right?
那我好像跟你们之前分享过，那有一个人来卖，就是这些播音的设备，然后他就开着他的车来。
Should we do that as a church?
我们应该在教会里面做
Even you
这样
pay only a quarter of the price of whatever you're getting for all the AV stuff, right? For the AV room, you're trying to save God a lot of money, right?
因为他只提了1/4的价格，那我们会向他们买这些设
So
备吗。
Nathaniel, where do you think you guys get the speakers from? They're brand new speakers. Yeah. Yeah, it's suspicious, right? Yeah, you have to understand, hey, when someone sell you something, they get you 3 times more, only 25%, there's something wrong, right? Something wrong.
那比如说有些人就提供你很低的价格，那你可能要想一下，有一点可疑。
Of course, they stole from somewhere and this and that, and we don't want that kind of stuff in God's house, right? That's what's important.
那我们不知道这些东西到底是哪里来的，但是我们在教会，在神的家里面不要这么做。
And the same thing, sometimes we, for example, we have a lot of SSC at the church, which is illegal, right? We know it's illegal, right?
那我们知道，就是在教会里面举办一些活动，比如说灵恩会啊，是不合法的。
I remember in Hillsborough Church, right? And every time we have the NYTS there, and we see a police driving down and driving into the driveway, they usually drive and just drive around, and they have to hide themselves. Make sure he's gonna, because it's best at nighttime. Why? Because you're not supposed to sleep there.
那我还记得在喜乐坡教会的时候，每年的这个成人审讯班都是在那边办。那晚上的时候就会有警察来巡逻，那我们就要把自己藏
And the
起来。
fire department already warned us, if they catch us sleeping there, each person could be fined like $10,000, something like that.
那如果我们被发现在教会里面住宿的话，每个人可能会罚1万块。
So every time, like we see police, everybody just quiet and turn off all their lights. It's very sad to do that. We shouldn't have to do that, right?
所以每次有警察来，然后每个人就会把这个灯关掉，然后每个人都要安静。
But in Australia, for example, they have the NYTS equivalent to here, NYTS, like 3 weeks. And they run like a whole hotel. Like one person stay in like each room. They spend a lot of money, like $250,000 each time, right? But they do it the right way and God bless them. Really, we have to think about things like this. Australia, yeah.
那在澳大利亚，他们也有一个3周的类似像青年
It's like, you know the name like STTCs? I forgot already the name. It's like NYTS. Right? It's like almost like NYTS.
就是类似于青年审讯班这样的活动，他们就会去租一个很大的旅馆住在里面。
So of course, for us, we that's why we want to build a training center, right? And that's why Hillsborough, they're expanding the area as well, right? I think they finished already. But whatever it is, we try to do things legally, right? Sometimes, I don't want to say all age, but Asian people will always try to do the shortcut and save money. It's not right for church. At your home, you do whatever you want, right? But a church is different, right? This is God's kingdom. We have to do what is right.
那虽然现在喜乐坡教会他们正在就是扩建，就是为了可以让更多人就是可以在里
I'm
面
sorry, we have to pray. He said we have to pray. So, and that's why we need to pray and really God to teach us the right way. It's important, these little things like this. That's how we grow in Christ Jesus.
所以我们就是要让神给我们智慧，我们可以在他的眼中行正确的事。
Yes, we're not afraid of evil doers because we don't do anything wrong. That's important.
但我们就是不要向做的人学习，我们不要做。
We don't envy those who practice iniquity. Why? Because God will bless us when we do right.
我们也不要向行不义的人生出嫉妒，因为神会祝福我们。
So those of us want to lay our hands, please come up and pray.
所以我们一起祷告，
Let's pray for ESSC.
我们为 春季灵恩会祷告
And。let's pray for God to continue to, to really teach us His way and to become a really good Christian in the eyes of the Lord.
那我们也为神可以教导我们，可以成为一个很好的基督徒祷告。
Let's come pray together.